Forbidden Planet.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, let me bring that up for you. Sorry.
So that's the gaming news for the night. The Carpathian Night looks good because it's made by a small indie studio, which is probably better than any of the big stuff coming out, right? So there we go. Support the fans. Revisionist version of Touchstone's 1956 sci-fi film Forbidden Planet, set by Warner Brothers. What? You a little excited about this? Let's read. Okay, Warner Brothers has made a deal to mount a new version of the 1956 science fiction classic Forbidden Planet. The film will be written by comic book and screenwriter Brian K. Vaughan, and it will be produced by Emma Watts. For its forward-thinking themes, the film is considered a North Star for science fiction writing and cinema that came after it. It has never had a big screen remake, though James Cameron reportedly once considered it, partly because the rights were complicated and difficult to untangle. The studio and Watts finally got that major obstacle out of the way. The former studio chief's Watts has leaned into producing the big, ambitious tentpole she shepherded for the executive suites, and this has the makings to be one of those. Loosely based on Shakespeare's The Tempest, Forbidden Planet is set in the 23rd century, where the starship C-57D arrives at the distant planet Altair 4 to solve the mystery of what happened to another starship sent 20 years prior. One of the original ship's scientists, Dr. Edward Morbius, played by Walter Pidgeon, warns them not to land for safety reasons, but C-57D does so anyway. The rescue attempts are hampered by a creature. Well, now we're going to hear, don't spoil the plot. Okay, Vaughn is a Hugo and Eisner Award-winning comic book writer and screenwriter whose comic book creations include Y the Last Man, Ex Machina, Runaways, Pride of Baghdad, Saga, and Paper Girls. He also wrote such comics as Spider-Man, X-Men, Captain America, and his latest TV work includes serving as writer, story editor, and producer of 3 seasons of Lost. After being tapped by Damon Lindelof, Vaughn was then handpicked by Steven Spielberg to adapt Stephen King's.
I'm hearing a lot of references and a lot of names that don't fill me with a great deal of confidence.
It depends on which seasons of Lost he worked on. Lost was great for a while.
Lindelof. That's all I needed
to hear. Anyway, Watts ran the film division at Fox and Paramount, and her work on sci-fi field includes I, Robot, Alita Battle Angel. You like that one?
I did like that one, yes.
The Martian. That was all right. Maze Runner and Avatar. This became
actually the Martian was great. The only negative thing you can say about it is a scientific mistake that you can't call a mistake because it wasn't at the time that it was written. You find out something later after the movie's already made. It's not their fault, you know.
I'm not as negative as you are about it, but I know the knee-jerk reaction is saying remake, they're going to screw it up and they're going to make a bad movie just using the title.
It kind of makes you wonder why bother. Now, There is one answer I would accept to that. And if they said, we have a series of 3 movies we want to do, then yeah, I guess you kind of need to redo the first one in order for the look of your movie and your actors and stuff to kind of match up, right?
Yeah.
So that I might buy. But if all they're doing is remaking a movie, why bother? Just go watch the old movie. It's a classic. It's
well, I could see there being, if they get a great director to do it, I'm thinking maybe you could have a Christopher Nolan or a Denis Villeneuve maybe do this. I don't know if either will jump on because apparently they were angry at Warner Brothers over the whole day and date nonsense.
Green is making a great point about the day the Earth stood still, and I could think of a whole lot of other remakes that
they remade
were very ill-conceived and very ill-advised. Now, we did do a Friday night show talking about some remakes that were actually really good, but we prefaced that by saying, let's be honest, these were the exceptions. The rule usually is don't do a remake of something that's already, if not perfect, so good you're not going to be able to match it.
So good you might not be able to match it. That's okay. So what do you mean by that, though? Do you think that they could do a movie that good that it would even eclipse the original, or at least be a companion to the original?
I doubt it. But if they do come close and they are planning to do sequels, then I'd say, okay, I can see why they did it. Let's go. Let's keep going, you know. I'm not completely against it. I'm just saying, think through what you're doing before you start dropping this kind of money on these kinds of movies.
They want to do it. Maybe there's a prestige thing involved. Maybe they want to get a top tier director. Maybe they want to see what is our current futurism looking like, how we would see things in the future versus how they saw it in the 50s, and can we adapt?
If they completely see, there's a great. So there's two ways this could go, right? They could go for the retrofuturism.
Then what's the point? Just watch the original, though. I wouldn't do the retrofuturism.
Right. Or they could go with, what do we think the future would look like from our
space travel
2024, the Bezos, Musk, kind of future that we're looking.
We're getting close with the robots, at least the Robbie the Robot style robot. I think we're getting there.
And that would be, you do something that's got that style of those the robots that Musk has been doing and whatnot, and you're like, okay, I see where they're going with the robots, right? Although by the time we actually get into space like that, to other planets, it'll be like, oh, wait a minute, yeah, we've gotten way past that now.
Yeah, I suppose so. That's always a thing. There's a bunch of B movies out there that are good ideas before they executed. They could remake. They don't need to remake the classic.
That is a great point. There have been some of the best remakes were ones where you watch the original and you're like, well, I see a good story here, but this was terribly executed.
I had heard a rumor a while back that Tim Burton actually wanted to redo Ed Wood's Plan 9 from Outer Space.
I would love to see that. Because let's face it, if Tim Burton does it, no, it wouldn't necessarily have to be better or worse. It would be such a different style. I mean, that's like the difference between a country song and a rock song. They could be the same song, but they're so different.
Right.
They're completely different songs, right? And anything Tim Burton does is going to be, you don't say that's sci-fi, that's horror, that's comedy. It's Tim Burton is what it is,
I would say they could remake it, The Thing from Another World, but they did. It was called Alien. But anyway, I'm sorry. You ever see it, The Thing from Another World?
Yes, I did.
It has a very similar feel to Alien. Except it was prior to Alien being made. It was made in the 50s. I'd like to see a revision of the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, perhaps as a mini-series of a film to give it. Know how these 19th century characters, they could do it as an HBO series.
We have been saying that about so many different things where, again, this was one of the defenses that I made for the Denis Villeneuve Dune, where he splits it into two parts. It's like, you can't get it all in one movie. They tried to make David Lynch do that and it didn't work. So split it up. You think of Peter Jackson with The Lord of the Rings, where he puts together a long version of the movie to release in cinema, but then he's got this extended DVD version, that kind of gets the whole story. And now you hear about them wanting to do Harry Potter as a series. So instead of getting one book crammed down into a movie, you get one book a season.
Yeah, that would work. And I'm like,
I can see that. And there's a lot of things I think that would benefit from that. And especially these comic book adaptations, absolutely. Another one that, even though I don't care much for most of his other work, Zack Snyder's Watchmen.
Right.
That one I would have argued needed to be a miniseries, except what he did was he identified the different parts of it and took all of that out and gave you just the story. And then
there's
the
like
other
a super
parts
cut,
of it
though,
were
right?
done. Pardon me?
There's like a super cut that adds it all back in, though, isn't there?
It's not so much a super cut, so much as if you get the deluxe DVD, it's got the pirate
Black
comic.
Freighter. Yeah, the Black
Black
Freighter
on as a motion comic on a separate DVD,
right.
And it's got another DVD that's got the all the stuff that was in the news articles and stuff, the backstory. So in a way it does, but it's more like DVD extras than it is restoring it directly to the film. So yeah, I could totally see that. And now the more I'm thinking about Forbidden Planet, I'm thinking about this idea of sequels for it, and I'm like, I'll bet you there's other like Greek myths and Shakespearean plays that could be adapted to this modern sci-fi setting.
Yeah.
Just keep it going. I could see that.
Now, Troy's mentions for you. When it comes to anime future technology, there are good examples like Gundam, Macross, Armor Troopers, Rodoms, and the list goes on. If you're into anime, turn into Netters Network this Thursday. Well, I will be a guest host and we will have a special guest, Brandon the Anime Guy. We may bring this up. I actually have Armor Trooper Vodoms on a Blu-ray. I got it on the sale last year.
And did you guys all catch what he just did? This guy is a better marketer than most of the people working in Hollywood these days.
Anyway.
Just saying.